Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you're here and I'll try to straighten up that screen. Guys, if you get the chance, as I asked before and continue to ask, and I apologize for asking, but I would appreciate it if you are so inclined. Please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon next to it. Really help me in the channel out. So today is going to be a slip joint talk. It's going to be the slip joints that I've amassed over the last couple of months since I fell down the rabbit hole, and what are currently my top 10 slip joints, my top 10 favorites out of the 20, 30 some odd slip joints I've amassed. And it's kind of in a numerical order, but not all together. So we'll just jump into it. And we'll start off with what we'll call number 10. And this is a fantastic knife. I will also preface this with all 10 of these, if I'm not mistaken, with the exception of one, are all modern traditionals. I've got a good mix of modern and traditional pen traditionals. But these all, if I were to lose them after not being a slip joint guy, I would replace them. I love all these knives. So just because these are 10 and this is number 10, I think the QSP Hedgehog, which was my second slip joint that I brought into my collection, is absolutely fantastic. This one's in carbon fiber, 14C28N. It is got a deep hollow grind blade. We'll have a little paper so we can do a little slicey, just a couple of slices for each knife. We won't bore ourselves with it. But the QSP Hedgehog, great slip joint. And I'll also give it a little bit more full disclosure as we close up the QSP Hedgehog. I should have titled the video my 10 favorite traditional knives or non-locking knives, because there are a couple in here that aren't slip joints. But in either case, number 10, QSP Hedgehog, fantastic knife, 88 bucks in carbon fiber, about 55 in micarta. If you're looking to get into the slip joint game, or you have slip joints or like slip joints but haven't tried out a QSP Hedgehog, I really like the point that can get into packages, get into corners real well, and I love that hollow grind blade, that 14C, and it's just got great walk and talk. Fantastic knife, QSP Hedgehog. Moving on, we go in a different direction. This is the only quote unquote traditional. It's an imported traditional. It is a Rough Rider Reserve, so it's pinned together without an adjustable pivot, in the traditional style of how slip joints were made. But this is also one of my smallest little slip joints. This is the QSP Copperhead. And the QSP Copperhead is a smaller pin blade, little Warncliffe pin blade, but it's very thin, very slicey, gets the job done. I like it because it's a very small knife. It's got nice walk and talk. I love the aggressive blade steel or the blade shape. I love the choil in that sharpening choil. I like the shape of the knife. I like the micarta, the blue micarta, and I like the brass liners and scales. Again, we'll do some comparisons as we get further down the road on what I think about some cases that I've acquired versus some Rough Rider Reserves versus some Amazon knives, right? It's kind of surprising. But anyway, number, I guess we'll call it 8, is the QSP Copperhead. Great little small EDC, got a little slip that rides with me, and it's a good one. Moving on, we come to the first non-true slip joint, and I actually have two knives by this designer. This is a little traditional knife. It is a front flipper, double detent. It is a Tucson, I forget the number, but I'll have it in the description. It is very, very light, very nice materials. You've got this carbon fiber scales. You've got this very, very small, thin, light liners. These are under 2-ounce knives. You've got this really thin, thin flat grind blade, S90V. cuts like a laser beam. And then it's a double detent. So you can open it more like a traditional knife. You can slap it shut. You can flick it there, or you can open it like a slip joint. So one of the ways I usually open it, because again, slip joints, part of the joy for them for me is they're not intimidating. They look just like, I'm opening a knife the regular way. And I was initially unsure of the locking power of a double detent, but I feel very comfortable cutting with this knife. And as long as I'm paying attention like I would with the slip joint, I'm not going to have any problems with this knife closing on my hand. The only thing that I'm questioning, and I have a feeling it has to do with this designer, who I don't know what it is, his style, or why they've got these three body screws here, which is overkill. You really don't need those, but I think it has something to do with the style, because when we look at a Wharncliffe that's going to come further down the line, this is slip joint or a double detent by the same designer. These are great knives, guys. Pick this up at White Mountain Knives. White Mountain Knives had it, if I'm not mistaken, for 87, 88 bucks. I used my 10% discount, Javon 10, brought it down under 80 bucks. Again, S90V, super, super slicey. I called it a flat grind. I think it is hollow. You've got some great belt satin that you can see on that blade. Again, it weighs under 2 ounces, and for a gentleman's folder that gets cuts done, I can recommend this TwoSun. And again, the numbers for this and the next TwoSun that comes up will be in the description. I just don't keep them in my memory. Moving on, we come to our number 6 knife, and this is probably the biggest one in our group, and this is also probably the thinnest in terms of blade stock. This is the Maxace Beatle S. This is the one that has several stops. Very nicely engineered, guys. I mean, where these stops are, they're very precise, but you can slap it straight to half stop, straight to open. It's just got these little ratcheting points along the way, which again does not slow down the opening, does not slow down the closing. I think if anything, it just gives you more control of the blade. But you've got very light branding. You've got what I consider to be a full-size knife, M390 with super, super thin blade stock. I mean, just paper thin. This is Beatle S, Bowler M390 there. Nothing on the show side. It's got a finger nick. I rarely use the finger nicks. I just pull it with my hand. But that is the Maxace Beatle S, and it is our number 6, what I consider my favorite current EDC traditional knives. So moving on, we come to another TwoSun, and I want to say this is the TS197. I've had this one a little longer than those other two double detents. This is a slip joint, but when you look at the quality of these TwoSun slip joints and the lack of displacement between the spring, the little extra thoughts like the little lanyard pin that they give you, and then I like this blade. It reminds me a little bit of a sodbuster pattern. I like the graphic. At first I didn't, but I like it now because in my mind it's a lizard or an alligator getting ready to eat a bird or some kind of insect. But this has got a deep hollow grind, M390 blade. This is a Wong design knife. It has really nice walk and talk. It's probably one of the sliciest. Well, it is a very slicey knife. I won't call it one of the sliciest, but just a joy to carry, a joy to use. I really like this knife. I was very surprised by this knife. I want to say I picked it up for under $80 before my 10% code at White Mountain Knives. So I got into it somewhere around $81, $82. And again, that's bone and M390 and titanium that is done with no displacement, perfect centering, just really done well. So that's the TS197. Again, when you guys check the description, if you're interested in any of these knives, the numbers in the description that correspond with the TwoSuns will be the accurate numbers. So moving on, we come to our only Italian entry of my top 10. But I love this little knife for the same reason that I really dig the two TwoSuns, even though this is a slip joint. And it's a very well done slip joint, but it's very minimalist. What you'll notice about this knife and its composition is you've got the spring that runs the backside of the knife. You've got the blade, and you've got these micarta scales. What you don't have is you don't have any liners. It is simply micarta, back spring, your pivot, and your blade assembly. Super, super light, has a very defined half stop. It's a smaller knife, M390 blade. Has this great, they don't call this jimping, they call it finger ridging, but it does give you a nice place to put your finger. It's very slicey and weighs probably right about an ounce. So this is the Fox Libre. The Fox Libre you can get at a lot of different places. I picked it up at White Mountain Knives because I get free shipping, I don't pay tax, and I get my 10% discount for using Javon 10. I'd love it if you guys go to White Mountain Knives because there's a knife there that you want. If you would drop the Javon 10 code, let Justin know that people do watch my videos. I get nothing for it. It just gets you guys a discount, and it gets us a little attaboy if, you know, they say, hey, man, you're sending us some customers. And that's just cool. So anyway, I appreciate you guys, whether you do or you don't. Just know that it's there to take advantage of. Moving on, I think we are up to number 4. And this is the first slip joint that I brought into my collection. So it'll always hold a place in my heart. I have not yet made the determination if that's a favorable place in my heart or if I'm pissed at it, because I still don't know where slip joints fit into my carry. I know I carry them every day. I know I've got well more than I need, and I know it's kind of taken on part of my addiction when it comes to modern knives and fixed blades. So I'm kind of equally vested in all 3 of those disciplines, the modern folders, the fixed blades, and now the traditionals. But now that I'm running a channel, I'm going to try to mix it up more based on what you guys tell me you want to see and what you want to see covered. Of course, I can't bring every knife in because I buy my knives. I'm kind of trying to still do this very organically, where I'm letting you know how knives make me feel. That's why these are my 10 current favorites that are all over the board, because I've bought maybe 20, maybe 30 slip joints that are just kind of all over the board, right? Because I'm just new to it, don't really know what I like, and I'm trying to figure that out. So I've dabbled around, but this Ohio River Jack from Traditional Pocket Knives, this is the sheep's foot. They also make a Warncliffe and a spear point, titanium liners, titanium bolsters, which really like the Jack Wolf. It's just that look. It's actually solid side of titanium on each side, a titanium scale with an inlay, for lack of a better term, and then your full back spring there. So that is the Ohio River Jack from Traditional Pocket Knives, and it is a winner. I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I left out a knife. I left out an honorable mention. Where did I put it? Where did I put my honorable mention? Okay, guys, when I was telling you I had 2 TwoSuns that were of that double detent, this goes back to join that knife. This is actually the one I prefer just a little bit more, and the only reason is I love that the front flipper comes back about another 1/4 inch, so I can really get to it with one finger. I like the Warncliffe blade. I like the fact that it's the same composition, same designer. You see those same extra 3 body screws that don't make any sense. But this little knife, you can finger flick, you can do a reach around, you can do a traditional front flip, whoops, So I just really like it. Or of course you can give it a slow roll. But this is another one of the TwoSuns by the same designer. Came from White Mountain Knives around the 80 buck mark before I used my coupon. And that'll be an honorable mention as we move into number 3. So number 3, guys, is a fantastic little knife and a great value. It is another small EDC traditional knife, and it is the Qvist Vanish. The Qvist Vanish is a little guy in 20 CV that is very slicey, has very strong springs that make for a very nice, satisfying walk and talk. I like the look of the Vanish. I've got a PE variant, and I'm on the verge of ordering the V3 frame lock with the 20CV blade, the hollow grind in this same color configuration. Haven't done it yet, but stay tuned. There'll probably be an unboxing coming pretty soon because I love the Cubist variant and I equally love this little Vanish. I would go as far as to say I like the Vanish better than the variant because I think this design and this style is just really suited for a slip joint treatment. It is and has a fantastic sharpening choil, a short enough blade that's very easy to maintain. It's in CPM 20CV, bronze anode titanium, T8 hardware. Just not many bad things that you can say about this knife. I want to say it came in around $130 and does include a slip. So as we roll into our top 10, this is number 3. So we're going down to 2 and 1. And these are interchangeable, guys. This is going to come as no big surprise. My 2 Jack Wolves, and I had to sit here and wrestle which is my favorite of the 2 Jack Wolves. So instead of giving it just the boring tie, I'm going to give number 2 to the low drag Jack, which is really just as much one of my favorites because it is very, very thin, very, very slicey. S90V, the composition of these 2 Jack Wolves are the same. The styling's just different, but I can tell you that both of these knives have exceeded my expectation. I was late to the game, did not think I wanted to bring one in the collection, thought they were too expensive for what they were. Not that they weren't worth it, just for me, how they would fit into my collection, because I just jumped into slip joints. I did not realize how much they were going to up the feel, up the performance, up the overall fit, finish, the feeling that I get when I handle and use a knife. So you've got this perfectly smooth, no gaps on this back spring, perfectly centered S90V, deep hollow grind blade. There is no displacement at any point of the walk and talk. You've always maintained that smooth spring. The shred carbon fiber, this is the gold carbon fiber, I think, is just stunning. I love the dark titanium bolster look. When I say bolster look, like the Ohio River Jack, this is a titanium liner or scale that has a cutout for the carbon fiber. And then one of the things, I think the blade is the star of Jack Wolf knives because of the thinness and the effectiveness of what it's able to do. But I love the grind lines. I think they're absolutely stunning. I think the thinness of the blade is absolutely fantastic. And will I have another Jack Wolf knife at some point? Will I collect them all? God willing, no. But I do love them. I do love what Ben's doing. I'm a little bit surprised that it took me so long to get there, but it did, and those things happen, which brings us to number 1. And I had to give some thought to this, but I've carried these knives about the same amount of time, and I'll tell you why. I chose the Feelgood Jack just a little bit over the low drag Jack. I went to, funny story, to buy the Feelgood Jack and saw that the low drag Jack was still in stock at this certain retailer, and I'd always thought that was my favorite, so I bought it and had to wait a little while to go back and get the Feelgood Jack. But what I love about the Feelgood Jack is this thin, sharp, hollow ground blade with this sharp Warncliffe tip that allows me to just murder packages. It will break down cardboard, it will cut fruit, it will cut sandwiches, it will cut wood. It would probably save your Slurpee if you were being threatened at a 7-Eleven and you had nothing but your Jack Wolf Feelgood Jack, because that would not feel very good if it was if you were on the opposing side of it. But what I love about it is the thinness of the handle. I think this is the ultimate gentleman's folder. Again, I don't own a gunslinger jack yet, but this is thin, it's sleek, it's got the same S90V blade with that beautiful, beautiful grind pattern, has the same great, fantastic sharpening choil, the same wonderful walk and talk where you have absolutely no displacement in any of these materials, no seams. It just feels like a solid organic piece of material, perfectly centered, perfectly suited for its task, right? It's a little cutter, it's a slip joint. Yes, it's a modern slip joint. And all I can say is freaking wow. I mean, I still get excited about these knives. I carry one just about every day, at least part of the day. This one is in my pocket tonight when I'm filming this. It's Saturday. But guys, that is my top 10 slip joints currently. And I say currently because as you guys are and as I am, we are collectors / addicts. So there's no telling what in my quest I will run into that will get my attention. It may not be another Jack Wolf. It may be something different. Who knows? That's what's so great about the hobby. We always find different stuff. And my goal is to find stuff that I can share with you guys that y'all like, that's worth looking at, right? This kind of cool stuff. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for sitting through it if you've made it this long looking at the slip joints or the traditional slip joints. Thank you if you've had the time to subscribe and to hit that bell notification icon. And thank you for looking out for the guy or gal to your left, for looking out to the guy or gal to your right, looking out for each other, going forward with love in your heart. Thank you to all my channel members who support the channel every day. I appreciate you more than you know. And I ask you all, choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.